Okay, so this is the last Nemesis readout for Nemesis 6. We're going to be running 6.3B, the Soviet 71 Reservist Tank Division. What is Nemesis? Just briefly, every year or so, Eugen give us the ability to vote for which division pairing we want. So they give us three options, six divisions in total, three pairs, and we're going to be voting. The voting will open on Tuesday, apparently. I think they said. So in a couple of days, that'll be Tuesday, the 2nd of December, I believe. And I've been covering all the options. So if you go on my channel, this is my channel. You may have heard of it. You can see 6.2b and and so on and so on. I'll just link them all in the description. 6.2a, that was a good one. The German one will obviously come out at the same time. Anyway, so yesterday, the channel members will probably get both these at the same time, but for everybody else, yesterday we covered this West German 42nd Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy division, and today we'll be covering 71. So yeah, if you want to check out 42nd to read that, just briefly, they said that basically this Nemesis will unleash the Instructor trait, which is like a CV, but not, I'm sort of in the way here. So it's going to boost nearby units' veterancy by 1, but it won't be able to capture command zones, and it'll only affect units in that category. So a tank instructor will only affect other tank units, and an infantry instructor will only affect infantry. The question is, will they affect recon units? So will a tank instructor affect a recon tank? Will an infantry instructor affect infantry recon? I mean, we'll see. And yeah, so it's like a military police as well in that it removes the reservist trait penalty. So it sounds really good because basically the only way to buff up a reservist unit at the moment, especially those that are locked to no vet, like in 24th US, like these, is to one, put a CV next to it, so there's your 240 point CV, and then two, you need to put a military police vehicle next to it. So you got to have like two vehicles following it around everywhere. So yeah, what I will say, and I said this in the 6.3a as well, is that so if you recall in the first votee Nemesis, Nemesis 2, because the alternative ones Eugen just does them themselves, they don't let us vote. Um, they were like, oh, this one has a drone. You should all vote for this one because it has a drone. Only drone division, because there were no drones in the game at that time, and that was 76Y, and it won because of the drone. And then they added drones to everything. So I'd be very surprised if this is only for these two divisions, and if you don't vote for this, you're never going to get it. Frankly, I find that hard to believe. Uh, but and the track record would suggest that that's not the case. So just something to keep in mind. Anyway, let's get started. So this is 0314 Defense Law. We can be brief about the Warsaw Pact history of the Soviet 71 YA Zapaznaya Tankovaya Divizia, or the 71st Reserve Tank Division. The formation was activated in 1973 in Omsk, southwestern Siberia, on the border with Kazakhstan. So that's pretty cool. I have heard of this place. Let's check it out. Great. So yeah, one of those places. I remember it's like Catherine the Great's time. Some generals just kind of came through here and just killed everybody and established them. They didn't kill everybody. They conquered it, and then they were like, okay, we need to build some towns. Maybe this was one of them. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? In this division's particular case, its home base is a great part of its identity. During World War II, being far away from the front lines, Omsk saw a massive influx of Soviet industry evacuated further west. The city on the Irtysh River became a leader in military production, especially in tank production, which continued into the Cold War. Yeah, so I mean, you all obviously know this because you're all military autists, but basically, Germany bad. This country didn't used to exist. And well, that was a separate incident. Germany bad, and so they were moving this way, and it was like Kiev had a bunch of tank factories in it and stuff like a lot of the Soviet industry was here. It was in the European part of Russia, right? Obviously, this all used to be Russia, right? Obviously, that's a contentious topic at the moment. I think at the time this was part of Ukraine. It's like, because was it Lenin who gave these over to Ukraine? Basically, the Soviets were like, nationalism bad. How can we completely ruin nationalism? And they just started moving all the countries and all the people around so that if there were ever to be some nationalism, it just wouldn't work because of all the crazy borders. And now we're witnessing that. So that's cool. Anyway, so they had like, really big factories in places like Minsk and Kiev and Kharkov or Kharkiv. I think it was Kharkov at the time. Places like that, and the Germs were coming over, and they made it to about here, right? I think they took all of this, and they never took Leningrad, right? Because of the Finnish moment, and separate issue. But basically, these guys were like, "We're not gonna help you a lot because then we don't want to upset the Russians." And it's like, all right, whatever. And so I think they got to about here, and they were like, "Well, that's all we want to do, so we're just not going to help you." And the Germans were quite rightly like, "Well, look, if you don't help us beat them, then they're still going to beat you up." And they're like, "Nah, bro, limited war." And then that's exactly what happened. So, well, what can you say? Anyway, Germany bad anyway, so it's a good job the Finns didn't do that. And what was the original point? Germany was coming, so they just got all the factories and they just got all the machinery, put it on trains, and just moved it east of the Ural Mountains, which are around here. Presumably, this for my geography isn't great. So yeah, this is, I guess, east of the Ural Mountains, and so that's where this was such a waste of everybody's time. Bloody hell. Anyway, back to the 71st Reserve Tank Division. As a mobilization division, it can never count on more than 65 men personnel. Not percentage active numbers. Okay. 65 men personnel. Weird way of saying it. But, okay, so they actually only had a staff of 65, and then everybody else would be reservists that would all get that. So this is like a C or D tier division, basically. 65 permanent guys for a Soviet division, which is like, what, 10,000 in World War II? I think Soviet divs were about 10,000. Interesting. Mostly officers and NCOs guarding the warehouses in case of war for the 3rd tier. Oh, there you go. 71st Reserve Tank Division. Call-up would have only happened if the conflict dragged on for weeks or even months. Cool. If mobilization had occurred, personnel from the nearby Omskaya Tank Engineering School and Omskaya Combined Arms Command School were to be used to lead the thousands of conscripts and reservists assigned to this formation. Yeah, because I was going to say, like, if these are the permanent officers to lead everybody, that's like... It's like less than... It's like one guy for every 20 people. Is it? That'd be 650? Yeah, roughly. So yeah, they had some schools that would... Okay, fair enough. A part of the divisional materiel would also be drawn from the military academies. Interestingly enough, a small slice of the equipment available would be rather modern, in order to train students in their use, but it would be too few to equip a full-size division fully. Thus, the rest of the vehicles and weapons would be scrounged from the usual places: long-term storage depots, repair shops, target practice, from museum pedestals, or straight off the assembly line. So there you go, guys, T-34 confirmed. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So that was the deepest lore. I'll get onto the sort of Logitab kind of thing here. It's like 9 minutes. It's probably time for me to thank the generous channel joiners. Generously joining the channel, they get their names on the screen, they get the videos early, they get members exclusive videos. They got this video, for example, when the other German one came out, hopefully. And this is my sole source of income, which is why I shill so much. If you don't want to do that, please like the video. I'm sorry for insulting your country, depending on... I insulted a lot of countries over here, so... We'll just cut that part out. We'll just cut that part out. Obviously, the bottom line matters more than jokes and humour. It wasn't funny anyway. You know what's funny? Having loads of money. The 71 YA Zapasnaya Tankovaya Divizia in Warno. How will the 71st Reservist Tank Division look like in Warno? New units are marked in italic and bold. Everything might be subject to change. So, Logitab. Pretty good being an infantry division. There will be plenty of opportunities to deploy commander units en masse. So, in the previous one, like basically at the top of this very lengthy article, they said basically the only CV units will be in the Logi tabs, and everybody in the Inf and Tank tabs will be these instructors, which can't actually cap zones, but they buff people around them. So this is where you're going to get all your CVs, so it's nice that it's pretty good being an infantry division, because otherwise you're not going to have any CVs. So if you just look at, because this is a reservist slop division, if you look at sort of other reservist slop divisions, look at that for a Logi tab, bro. And it said it's an infantry division, and this is an infantry division, so it's probably going to look a lot like that. And you know, like these, you basically never use in a 1v1, but if you really wanted to, you could have, you know, 12 CVs those for only 4 APs. So that's nice, because the fact that it comes out here doesn't mean you have to use these. It usually means that the first ones are all 1-pointers. So the fact that it comes all the way out here is just helpful in that your CVs will cost less AP, which means you can bring more other stuff or more CVs. These include the usual selection of Belazor, Chaika, and the new BTR-50 Pum-1 armored APC. So this is a Belazor 80-point car. It's a shame these things aren't showing up, because they're pretty useful, but okay. The Chaika is also 3 availability, but it's 100 points. This should probably be 95, you know, it's not got a gun on it, so I don't really see it. Because if you think about, like, the SPW Commander, this one, well, what? I suppose the one on the right's got 2 more HP, but well, the one on the left's got mediocre stealth, and it's faster, so I think the Chaika should be 95, really. Anyway, BTR-50 Pum-1 armored APC. So, you know, who knows, right? We obviously know what a BTR-50 is, and this is gonna, there you go, BTR-50 Pum-1 by Recon Monkey. It's gonna look like that, allegedly. So it's not gonna have a gun on it, and we do actually have this, which is that a BTR-50? So I'll look at the kind of wheels looking things. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Probably. So it's going to be that, basically, except with more aerials on it and Soviet camouflage. So it'll probably cost 35 points and be 2 availability. CV prices are so weird. So if you compare this to the M577, so why is the one on the left 5 points more? When on one on the right, it's slower, yeah, but it's got more armor. And it's amphibious and it's resolute. So why is the one on the left 40? I'll tell you why. It's because the one on the left used to have 2 armor on the front and the sides. That's why. And then they changed it to 1. They didn't change the price. So, well, okay. Supply units featured are the FOB, Ural, and Kraz 255B. So if we just go back to 157Y, honestly, guys, I mean, basically, between the major expansions, they need something to keep it fresh and funky, and that is Nemesis. So don't expect great things out of any of these Nemesis teams. Yeah, as you can see, it's all very normal. And you'll notice that, so Belazor, Chaika, BTR-50, and that, so there's 6 units there, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. So, and this is on the low end. Compare it to like divisions that came out at the start of the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's also some. Okay, fine. Okay, so 13. Good, as can be expected. The few new Instructori squads with the corresponding instructor trait will be 7 men equipped with an AK-74, 1 PKM, and an RPG-7 VR. They will commandeer the best available vehicles for themselves, based the BMP-1P and the BMP-2. So these are the new leader guys. If you've skipped to this tab, basically it's like a CV except it doesn't cap zones. So, what's the point though? It buffs up the units around it by 1 vet, and it removes the reservist trait like military police. And we're hoping, we don't know yet, we're hoping that it has just the normal availability as opposed to CV availability, right? Because if they're just regular squads, I think it should just be, you know, regular availability, and then you can actually use them. Because that's the main issue with using a CV to upvet units. You don't really get enough of them to do it, and the enemy will always focus those units, so AK-74, 1 PKM, and RPG-7 VR. So that's literally just Motostrelki VR. It's 20. It's this. Although it's 7 guys, so it's these guys, 7 guys, but with a VR and a PKM instead of an RPK 74, so that it won't shoot on the move, and it'll come in a BMP-1P, so presumably it's going to be this one, the Unspeakable, or a BMP-2. So you get BMP-2, so that's nice. The few new Instructori squads, so does that mean there'll only be one card? Also, it says good, which I'm assuming is just going to be like this, basically, you know, lots of ones. Although, hang on, they keep saying it's an infantry division. Pretty good being an infantry division. It's literally called the 71st Reservist Tank Division. What's going on there? I mean, it says tank, bro, but it's infantry. Okay, whatever. To be able to field enough men for the entire 71st Reservist Tank, just put it in there. Keep saying it. Tank Division, Infantry Division. Local Soviet authorities are intent on scraping the barrel from soldiers with no or long-forgotten training, way past their prime, or in poor physical condition. In this battle group, you'll find them all. They are equipped with what's left in the depots after several weeks of high-intensity warfare. This means mostly Prizniki in ZIL 157 trucks. Have we got those? Wait a minute, is this the World War II one? So that's a ZIL 157, which the Czechs have something that looks pretty similar to that. Or it might be open topped like this. Either way, it's just a truck, bros. There it is, right? There it is. And look, there's the Soviets. Wow, they must just be copying these guys. So it'll probably just look like that. So yeah, cool, a truck. Prizniki you've seen before. They are in 157Y, which I am being reminded of. So they're not as good as Reservisti, although Reservisti had their price go up by 5, so maybe there is a place for Prizniki. The fact that they're 10 guys is decent, but they've got militia as well, and so it doesn't say that militia can be removed with this instructor trait. It didn't say that, so presumably they'll keep that, and militia makes them kind of crap. They do have a DMR though, which is pretty funny. But I can't remember if, because obviously the reservist trait, the militia trait nerfs it. But yeah, it's basically, it's a sniper, but it has DMR stats. But you see the reload time's quite high, so I think it is a bit worse than modern DMRs. The DPM isn't, which is pretty funny. The DPM's the best machine gun in the game, by the way. I'm not making that up. If you remove the traits, the effect of the traits. Anyway, so Prizniki you've seen, and a few Reservisti, which are the best. Okay. VTR 50. So far only featured with the East Germans. So the Reservisti are nice. Like 157Y, the strat is basically you just spam 3 cards of Reservisti in this truck. The issue is that you're not going to get this truck. So you're going to be paying... Oh, it might be 10 points. For a Reservist BTR 50, it would be 10 points. Which means that these would be 45. Which means that you can afford... Still only 5 in a minute, but there's still a lot, right? Because, yeah, the BTR 50, they said, the East German side, basically nobody ever brings this. So, 50. Obviously, I showed you this one, but maybe there's a... There it is. So it'll be this, but without Resolute and with Reservist, which means it'll be 10 points. Which will be interesting. It's very cheap transport with a gun, basically. With 2 front armor, which actually is actually pretty lit. But it will be Reservist. Presumably. Yeah. Prizniki Pulmichiki, a 7-man fire support squad with 3 RP-46s, which are upgraded DP-28s, also in ZIL 157s, and access to some BMP-1s, presumably without ATGMs. So, Privs Pulmichiki, go back to 157Y, my muse in this trying time. You'll see that there's Res Pulmichiki, but not Privzniki Pulmichiki. So there'll probably be 25 points. Because if it's 8 guys with militia and reservist, then it's got to be cheaper than this. And we'll see if these get bespoke stats or if they're just sort of the same as other machine guns, right? In the same way that the DPM is just the same as other modern machine guns. And so there'll be 25 points, which is pretty funny actually. There is something in... Is it Rugener that gets the... There is an East German one that gets something like that. Reservisten SMG. But these guys aren't actually... not reservist and they're not militia. So yeah, there'll be 25 points, which is pretty cool actually, because then you can just spam BMP 1s for days. Especially if it's... Because that'll be 55 points for a BMP 1. Think about it. 55 points for a BMP. Bro, that's lit. I need to get my head out of the toilet. I speak like a retard now. So you get almost 5 a minute BMP 1s. Although you only have one card. And there are only 7 guys as well. So yeah, they'll definitely be less than this. There might even be 20. Yeah. Privzniki Saperi. Oh my gosh. They're going to be so hard to use. Because the idea behind... Even worse than those Reservisti Pioneers that 6.3A got, the guys I covered in the last video, check the description. The idea behind satchels is they've got to run up to the enemy so they can throw a satchel on them, right? Now, you can't... If you're reservist, you take more suppression. And if you're militia, I believe you either take more suppression or you just do less damage. Which means the enemy's less suppressed so that you take more suppression. And so... To have to run... Because, like, these are already kind of hard to use, and you have to put them at 1 vet. And often it can be just not worth bothering. 7-4? Shouldn't that be 7-5? That's the only unit in the game that's like that. Should be 7-5, that. Anyway, yeah, you're going to have a bad time, because... You're going to run up to the enemy and they're just going to rout you and then you're going to run away. Especially if you're like this militia trait. Or it just makes you shoot worse, okay. But the reservist trait, so yeah, it's going to be hard to use those. 5 men with AKM, PKM, and satchels. So how much will they cost? That's the other... So they'll be like they'll be like those guys that are in the other one. The ones that are in TKS. They'll be like this. But with militia. So there will be 15 points. They might even be 10. Because it's 5 and this is 6. And they've got the militia trait. They're going to be 10 points. That's hilarious. You're going to have a proper spam deck on your hands here. They're transported either by the UAS 452, the minibus so far only used by the military police. So... Also, it's nice that they didn't class it as a different vehicle because it's not got the military police tag, but there you go, there it is, right, in all its glory, and, you know, Czech version, Polish version. Or the new BTR 55. The name of this vehicle is made up. Good, hello, good. Honestly, whenever they do something that's, like, slightly different, please compliment them, because they've constantly got these history guys, the history cabal whispering in their ear, just saying, "My lord, Gandalf approaches, he wants to have fun in his video game. He is not welcome here, it's not realistic." And they just constantly remove fun from the game in the pursuit of historical accuracy, which is just made up because in a real war people would be having fun. You know what I mean? They would be making new stuff at an alarmingly rapid rate, as they are doing in all of the real wars that we constantly see, including the big one which is currently happening in this part of the world. But no, that's historically inaccurate. The name of this latter vehicle is made up. Good. It represents a T-55, one of the first generations of main battle tanks of which the USSR held huge quantities in storage. Yeah, they're still using them. Some were in poor condition, and as such jaloped, using a World War II term, isn't that like a jalapeno? A decrepit car. Interesting. I thought it was like some sort of, you know, like a chili. Jalapees. Jalapeno, maybe. By removing the turret and converting the space below into an open-top passenger accommodations. That sounds really cool. Hang on, open-top passenger accommodations, okay. This conversion had already been realised in real life by the Israelis and the Lebanese before 1989. Oh, I don't want it then. Uh, not because of the Lebanese. And the Russians themselves later during the wars in Chechnya with the BTR-T. This leads to the idea in Omsk of a heavy APC based on a modified main battle tank being in the air by 1989 in our Warno timeline. Good, finally some creativity. This particular unit in Warno isn't as advanced as this BTR-T example. A basic T-55, stripped of its turret and tank gun, with the remaining hull left open, with the only armament being a HMG bolted on the spare hull. This is really cool. This is very, very cool. Especially if this is like 12 availability, which it should be, but it might get preemptively nerfed because of how absurd it's going to be to run these things at people. But basically, because yeah, if you think about reservist pioneers, they're 12 availability. And sorry, I literally just showed you, and so it'll be like at least 12 availability for it to be fair. And then the transport is going to be the most heavily armored transport in the game, because like if it's just like that, but with less than one top armor, which only matters for artillery and aircraft basically, then it can survive a Milan too, as it's coming towards you. That's because the idea is obviously you use it for whatever you're gonna. Because transports in this game, you can never just unload on top of people, unlike in Broken Arrow. Because if you get anywhere near them, you just explode. Whereas this is actually going to be able to do that. It's just going to be able to go down the road towards you. You're not going to be able to kill them all. It depends how much they make it cost. It's obviously going to be less than 90 points because it's not going to have any guns on it. Well, it's going to have one HMG. So how much would you make that? Maybe 40 points? Because how much do you value armor? It's a complete unknown because there's nothing like it in the game, which is a good thing. They're actually doing something new. So that's good. So yeah, it's going to have 11 front armor maybe. They might reduce it a bit. To like, because I don't know how much the turret matters. Like, if the turret isn't there, does that just mean you lose armor value? Because the way the armor's calculated is the turret matters and the hull matters, so that's why the Challenger 1 doesn't have higher armor, is because this lower front plate that nobody ever hits ever except that one time everybody brings up, where it survived anyway, and drove back into the base under its own power, right? And then they immediately bolted some extra armor onto it, thus meaning that in this game they would all have the extra armor on it because they would have realized that. But no, can't have that. It's not realistic. Anyway, human ingenuity is not realistic. Anyway, yeah. So who knows if like this is more armored than this, then the armor value will go down, and if this is more armored than this, then it might go up. So. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. It's really cool. It's a really cool idea. It's a shame it comes with such a shit squad. And it'll have a HMG. The main utility is basically going to be, once you drop off the infantry, you use this thing with your tanks, and it just goes out in front, and it just takes all the hits while your tanks do the shooting. It's going to be really cool. I'm really happy with this. This is basically exactly, because in this one, 6.2b, they were like, this unit is being rushed into the front line. And I was like, well, where's the battlefield modifications? Because there was just so much, like, they just didn't care. I honestly, reading this, there's always one that they want to win. And they just kind of gently put their fingers on the scales to make it win. Alright? Because, they just add more units to it, or they add, because like the drone one, right, the other one was French. And so they wanted that to win. Okay? And so they added the drone. And with this, it's pretty obvious they want this one to win because they've added this instructor thing, and they're actually doing so. If you read the inf tab on 6.2 or 6.1 for the packed divs, it's like nothing. At least the packed one had some new stuff actually, quite a bit. But the other one, 6.2b, that inf tab was terrible. There was 0 new units in it. The only new thing was a reservist transport. Everything else was already in the game. They didn't make up anything. What I was saying is it'd be cool if, like, they're being thrown into battle, they're doing something new. Well, this is that. I got what I asked for. So that's good. Several new units can be found in the weapon teams list. The Reservist SGM 762, which is a World War II machine gun. I could launch Steel Division 2 and show you, but I mean, what's the point? Just believe me, bro. They've already got a World War II machine gun in this game, and they did give it World War II stats. They did give it worse stats, which I think is a good thing. But it does make it kind of hard to bring. Like, you just don't bring it, basically, because what's the point? And that's this Reservist Maxim. So, you know, if it's got half the accuracy, so it's just... And it reloads slower, and it's literally got half the accuracy, bro. So this is just so much better. It does twice the DPS. It does have a very long salvo length, but I'm not sure how that translates, because the fact that it misses a lot. Because this is the chance of it hitting once in 10 rounds, whereas this is the chance of it hitting once in 5 rounds. So actually the accuracy is 4 times greater. So if they do that to it, it's going to be useless. Because that's what they just... This is useless, you don't bring it. Pointless. Gets you killed. The Reservist 30mm, the Reservist B11 recoilless rifle, and the Reservist Unspeakable, all riding to battle in the UAZ minibus. So the... show you these. There's the Reservist B11, that's already in the game, right? It's not that great, really. These infantry SPG teams are kind of terrible. 30mm you'll know very well, and it'll just be that, but it'll cost 30 points instead, and it'll have 50% accuracy, so it'll actually be really, really good, because, so if you think about it, because it's just minus 5% accuracy, minus 5 cost for basically all of them, but the base accuracy on this is so high that it doesn't matter, because if you compare the, what are we just looking at? PKM. So, well, I'm just going to have to look at it. If you have a unit that has a low base accuracy and you take 5% off it, so this is 15 and this is 30, okay? Even if it was 15 versus 20, right? So just pretend this is a different unit instead of an upvet. This one deals 3/4 damage compared to this one, because it's gone down by 25% on the accuracy, right? Whereas 55 to 50% is negligible. This is a 1/4 difference. So that Plamia Reservist 30mm is going to be really good. The V11 is not so great. And the Reservist Unspeakable one, I think, is already in the game. No, it's not. Interesting. I could have sworn there was at least one. No, it's not. Because in 157, it's not a reservist one, so it's going to cost 45 points. And it'll lose 5% accuracy, so that, I mean, 50-50 to 45-45 is basically the same. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. This is Lebanese. Okay. I'll take your word for it, mate. Right, so artillery. Rather mediocre, with no gun-based artillery platform officially allocated to the division. This means that during mobilization it will have to make do with using the endlessly stored World War II antiques the Soviets held in various depots. So, Reservist 82mm mortar, Reservist 120mm mortar, Reservist 120mm howitzer, 22 even, Reservist 152mm howitzer, Reservist BS3 dual-purpose field guns. What's that? That's already in the game, isn't it? Yeah, here it is. Nobody brings it. Oh. It's a shame, really, because it's actually got a really nice range, but the splash on these low-caliber artillery pieces is always so bad that there's just no point. Although it's only 60 points, it's probably worth it, actually, given that... so the quick-fire... Like, this is 55, and it's got way less range, although the aim time's faster. Okay. Yeah, basically, there's just no reason to bring this in 157 because there are other options which are way better. Whereas this time round, like, this arty tab's kind of dreadful. Select through grads, operated by a handful of trained artillery personnel from the nearby academies. So in 1v1, everybody's going to basically bring this, most likely. Although, is this the one that goes super far? Probably not. Oh, here's the 43. So yeah, they're going to be bringing a mortar for smoke. It might be this one, it might be this one. Basically, there's a packed mortar that a few nations get that is just, for some reason, just goes super duper far. So it's this one, look. 2B14, and it's in Czech service as well, you see it around. And it just 5925 range, and it's like, why does it go a kilometre further forwards than all the other ones? In some cases are newer, right? So doesn't make much sense to me, but there it is, and then didn't fix it. It does cost a bit more, I think. No, it's cheaper, and it goes further. Hang on, BM43. Oh, that's PM37, so who knows? It'll probably be more like the one on the left than the one on the right. Might even be worse. And so you'll be forced to bring this D1 152mm probably for artillery. And that is also in 157Y. But on 157 you have better options, the Berig and so on. I got halfway through checking you and then I just gave up. But, like, because you only get 2 of them, and that's 152mm for 100 points, so that's not bad. But, yeah, for 120 you can get something worse with twice the availability. What? Oh, and it's because of the splash on these. But yeah, you're basically probably going to be forced to bring these because you don't have the Berigs and you don't have the mega ultra guns, right? But yeah, you'll probably be bringing a Grad in 1v1 because you're forced to. This thing's terrible, by the way. Grad's better. So yeah, interesting. So there'll be 2 cards of Grads, maybe. So, a gamer moment for sure. So we finally get to the tank tab in this tank division / infantry division, depending on how they're feeling. Pretty good, including the bad and the ugly. Lots of options, lots of scrappy tanks, with a few rare gems found in the division's armoured arsenal. America spelling. The majority of the tank fleet would be made up of a hodgepodge of the reservist T-54B, the reservist T-55A, plus the new reservist T-62 OBR-67, the new reservist T-62 OBR-72, and the new reservist T-62 OBR-75, all with either 1 or 2 max cards. What's the difference? I couldn't tell you. I mean, there's a good 8 years between these, so you would hope that one would have better ammunition and one would have worse ammunition, something like that. Hopefully they don't just make them all the same, like they did, like they keep doing, right? Oh yeah, it's just the same, bro. It's got a bit more fuel, bro. Different model, put all that time into making a different model, make it play identically. Anyway, let's get through this. Reservist T-54B, you've seen before. So this is bad because it has... Oh wow, look, it's this division again. It has a heat gun. So that's why it costs 20 points less than this one, which has a kinetic gun. But this is nice against infantry, actually, because obviously against infantry it doesn't matter. And it's got 3 machines. So this is actually really nice against infantry. And it can be updated. So this one can't. But if you want to go up against infantry, this is better. Because even though this shoots faster, this is so much cheaper. But it's slower, right? It's got more side armor and stuff. But generally, if you want to go up against infantry, this is kind of your tool. And this, people just don't bring it. T-55A, always good, always versatile, right? 80 points for this one. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Reservist T-62 OBR-67, I got no idea. And 72 and 75. There are not very many T-62s in this game. They only come up in 2 divisions. And that's 56Y, where they're really good because they all get extra armor because of the cope cages. So this doesn't get side-shot by conkers and stuff. Right, and this, like, you get the ones with the ATGM, so presumably one of these will have the ATGM, one won't, and one might, 2 might, or 1 might, I don't know, because these don't have the years on them, but probably won't have the cope cages, right? So probably be, like, the armor on the bottom. This one isn't so great. This one's... Well, yeah, the main reason they're good in 56Y is because they get a rank of veterancy for free. So you get flipping loads of them. You get 14 of them, I think. 8 plus 6. Quick maths. But yeah, the ATGM ones are pretty obscene. And so it's basically a lot like 157Y because this is kind of the same thing. Lots of the same units. And basically in 157Y you get 2 cards of these. You can bring them at no vet or at 1 vet. Still not made my mind up on that. You could do one of each if you want. But the idea is, it's just very tanky, and it's got 2,800 meter range, 80 GM. Now, 14 front armor, just like a T-34, or whatever it's called, T-62. Wowee! So it's going to be a lot like this. It's going to be a lot like this. So, yeah, great. T-62s. Instructors have retained some of the best equipment for themselves in the form of a few T-64As and T-72As. So T-64A, I believe, is in the game. Is that the one that's in 25th? This thing is so much fun because it comes at nice availability. It's got 10 rounds a minute, and you just buy 2 of them at the start and just run at people. 20 pen at the... Obviously, it's the lowest range tank gun, but 20 pen. Very, very, very funny. So you get up to people and you just slap them about. 16 armor, so it can be hit by the 30 AP missile, but 160 points. So yeah, that's how you play 25th. You open with a couple of these and you just run at people. It's a lot of fun, actually. You only get 1 card, right? Yeah, but people bring them at 2 vet, but because it's auto-loaded, the rate of fire doesn't go up, which is an advantage when you're stressed out, but basically it just means don't 2 vet it, just 1 vet it. You can do vet it if you want, because obviously it affects the accuracy and stuff, but your rate of fire is not going to change with veterancy, so it's not as important. It's a lot of fun, this thing. But this is an OBR 83, whereas this is just an A. So I don't know what's going to happen. Presumably the gun's going to be worse. And the instructor T-72A. So they've got this new instructor trait, right? T-72A is in the game, but this is the OBR 79, and this is the OBR 81. So who knows? Because, like, it doesn't have a date. So these ones that are already in the game don't have dates, and these ones that are already in the game do have dates, so who knows? Just delivered to Omsk for trials and in preparation to train new cadets would be a few of the brand new state-of-the-art instructory T-72B OBR 89. So this is going to be the best T-72 in the game, because it's the newest. Game takes place in 1989. So it's going to be... But this is a B1, and this is a B. Oh, I see, B1 no ATGM. So it's going to be like this, but even betterer, because like what's happened in the last 5 years, presumably something has improved. So it's going to be a very, very, very spicy tank. Will it have the max range gun? Or will it just have 20 front armor and firing severes at everybody? So yeah, this is going to be a very effective tank tab, clearly. T55A plus T72 equals win. And then you've got some intermediaries, which may or may not have those Repair ATGMs, which just makes them good. A few older reservist BRDM2 Mayuka Ps for anti-tank, so that's this, right? And that's in 157Y. So yeah, really nice tank tab, which is good for a tank division, but then the inf tab was good because it's an inf division. But it's like, what's going on? Which one is it, bro? Anyway, Recon tab. I do appreciate you watching the video, by the way. I don't just say that. I do mean it. Average slots and no reservist trait to be found in this category. The division's recon troops had first dibs on the best recruits. Veterancy will be locked, however. Okay, so no vet. Mot Razvedka in the Razvedka BMP1 and the Razvedka BMP2 and the Razvedka BTR8. Okay. Squads plural. So you get 2 squads of these. One in the Razvedka BMP2, one in the Razvedka BTR80. There you go, you're gaming. That's absolutely crazy. Normal Razvedkas in the minibus. Plus BRDM2s for the fast stuff, very good optics. BRM1Ks for the slow, exceptional optics for your tanks. And PT-76Bs for throwing the game. You bring those if you want to lose. I'm not joking. I have seen people use these like, wow, I'm so good. And I'm pretty sure I beat them. Or maybe they beat me, but it was just because they were better and not because they were using that. So yeah, that's going to be lit, right? Razvedka BMP. So basically, Eugen, for some reason, right? Although, is that like new, I guess? No, it is here, but it didn't come up. They were trying to reduce... When they reduced the price of the... Because Because, look, basically, the one on the right's got smoke, which just makes... And one more pen on the ATGM, which makes it way better. And they were both 45, and then they both came down to 40. And, like, obviously I don't know, but I would assume that the one on the left should be 40, and the one on the right should be 45, but they just reduced the price of both, and... So, like, this thing's absolutely crazy. For 40 points, it's so good, because... it's got the mediocre stealth thing going on, like the Razved could be MP2, so you can't see it when it's shooting at you. And you just use it to just throw ATGMs everywhere at people, and they can't see them very well, and if they can, it's got 3 armor anyway, so it tends to survive a front hit from a tank, most tanks. So it's a really nice vehicle, and it's got the smoke, so in many ways it's better than the Razved could be MP2. Razved could be MP2 is obviously great to have, but it costs more than twice the price. So it's like 2.5 times the price, right? Razved could be TR80 literally just got added to the game, and it was like a unique option of 2Y, which is a division that doesn't have too many unique options. And so, yeah, now it's being added to somebody else, I guess. Yeah. So we get onto the AA tab now. This is the best pack division I've seen so far, and this is the last one, so it's the best pack division of Nemesis 6. AA average with mostly light towed guns but available in large numbers. A few local conversions by Omsk engineers are also present. No anti-air defences were allocated to this division. This means they will have to make do with whatever is available. They get the Reservist Strela 2M, which I spoke about when I was covering something else. Where are we? So it's this, but like it's gonna have 30% accuracy, so it's gonna cost 20 points. There is one in Polish service that's already in the game like that, but you know, whatever. And it's gonna be in the minibus. They like these minibuses. Reservist ZU 23 to 23mm, so that's gonna be pretty good for killing people. Because it'll be 25 points for 10% accuracy, so it'll have 2/3 the firepower. So it won't be as good as the regular one, obviously, right? So it'll have 2/3 the firepower, but not 2/3 the cost. But it'll still be very good. Reservist S60, these are terrible. The S60s are just not good. They were good once upon a time, but they got nerfed and now they're not. So this isn't very good against infantry, even though it's like... yeah, it's just because it doesn't fire enough rounds. The low accuracy means it just doesn't hit anything. So they're really not that great. And yeah, the truck thing... BRDM 2 Strela 1 with better trained personnel, hence not reservists but vetlock. So these are not so bad. There's some weird things going on with these. So I like them in 4th mod. They're called something slightly different, but it's the same thing. The issue is they've only got 4 rounds. So there are times where you fire 4 rounds, you do not kill the enemy helicopter, and then he kills you. Because it's 50% accuracy, right? And you got to hit him twice. So there are times where you miss. You miss the second one, you only hit him once, stuff like that, and then he just kills you. So that is a pain. But they come at some very nice veterancies. Very nice availabilities. They're not going to be veteranable, but you're going to get 9 of them in a card. So I wouldn't worry too much. But basically, it's going to be like sort of Descent Corpus levels of. It'll be better than Descent Corpus, basically. It's basically these, but with Strela 10M. So it'd be like 56Y levels of AA, but worse than 56Y, but better than Corpus. So 56Y gets this. Or is it 35Y that... 35Y is the one where the only long-range one... Yeah. So it'll be slightly worse than this, because at least, basically with these, you always want to up them, because you don't need 9 of them. Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. By chance, the division uses the crafty engineers from the academies to modify some locally available equipment, so you can just tell that they've put more effort into this, which is a shame, because I really liked the American division in 6.2, but the Soviet one was just literally pure slop. But it's nice that, I don't know, maybe they've taken the feedback on board, or maybe this was always scheduled to happen, but like this one is just way more... Because in the other one, the Slorp one, they're just like, Inf tab, and there's 1 new thing. Art tab, there's no new things. AA tab, there's no new things. It's like, here's no, sir. Here's a Igla. They just didn't even try. Here they're trying. Look, the division uses the crafty engineers from the academies to modify some locally available equipment. So you get a BTS boy band ZU-23 too, which is a recovery vehicle. So it's not a T-55, so it won't have 11 armor. With a ZU-23 on it and a Dushka for close protection. Well, I mean, this is close. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. And in the same impoverished fashion, the engineers will mate a ZIL truck with an S60. So that probably won't be too useful, but this is probably going to be very useful. Although the issue is it'll have 1200 meters range. It'll be like an Afghansky. It'll be like this. Right? Probably a lot like that, actually. Heli tab. This is going to be a long one, I can tell. Nothing. Welcome to the void. Not one single helicopter, as all available examples in this particular Soviet military district have already been deployed to the front a long time ago. Okay. Air time. Air cover, on the other hand, is pretty good. Yes, again, it's about making do with whatever is available, which means older planes, though some more advanced aircraft will be deployable. Strike aircraft will come from the Afghan war veterans of the 149 Guards Bomber Regiment, equipped with older Su-24 Not Ms. They will have less ECM and can't carry the most modern guided weapons. They will come in AT, SEED, and HE loadouts. Yeah, bro, the old planes, here's your latest generation missile that homes in on radars. So it'll be an Su-24 Not M, so it'll presumably have 20% ECM. Because the Su-24Ms have 30%, and this is older. And these are actually really good now because they improved high-altitude bombers. The bombs drop a lot quicker, so this is actually a really good plane now. And so if it's 20% ECM, it'll cost less, and it'll be presumably just as good at killing people. AT, who knows? I mean, obviously, this is an AT-1, and this is an AT-1. So which one's the latest one? Is this the latest one, or is this the latest one? Or is it going to be even worse and have like one of those old school missiles like the MiG-23 ATs on like 4th Mottschutzen and stuff like that? Like, will it be this? Probably be that, actually. Interesting. SEED. Su-24 SEED is like, so there's a SEED. Will it be, but like it's less good, so will it be 50% ECM? Who knows? Maybe it'll be slower. I don't know. The air superiority fighters will come from the Soviet Top Gun, or 1-5 21st Center for Combat Employment based in Turkmenistan. They're flying MiG-29 913s, which just got added to the game as well, in 2Y. So what was the point in 2Y exactly, if it's just being cannibalized for... Okay. You could... I guess the point is you've already bought it, so... So this has 40% ECM, which makes it quite nice. But their Top Gun, you know, their Tomsky Cruise, it's Tomsky Cruise, bro. So they'll probably be like 2-vet by default or something. Because if you look at what's it called? The F4F. So like these in Lufty Landy come at 2-vet by default with still 2 availability, and that gives you plus 8% ECM basically. It's better than regular ECM. It's like having 50% ECM. So, I mean, you know, from 30 it'd be more like having 40, from 40 it'd be more like having 50. So that's going to be very good. The issue is only 2 long-range missiles, and they do miss, but if you're 2-vet, then the accuracy is going to go up as well. You're going to have plus 6% accuracy. So that's going to be a pretty lit plane. It's probably going to cost about 265 or something. Maybe even 270. MiG-23 MLD is pretty good in 56Y. They're very cost effective, these, because they've got very nice missiles for the price. Oh, this one does anyway. And they're going to have shark mouth paint jobs. So there you go. The 71YA Reservist Tank Division is a tank division and an infantry division. Is a strange beast with a wide array of reservist and conscript-based units beefed up with a handful of high-end and instructor-traded units. This battle group will play to its strengths if it can overwhelm the enemy with sheer numbers on the battlefield. So basically, next Tuesday is when the vote's going to be. I'll do a separate video saying, like a summary, what the pros of the cons of every single one are. But this is clearly the best pack division, and the NATO division isn't so bad. The thing is, I really kind of want the American one to win because it's a proper American M1 and Bradley division, which we literally don't have in the game. Whereas this kind of does already exist, but there's lots of... It's so obvious they want this one to win because not only are they doing this whole instructor thing, and honestly, I'd be surprised if this is just for this and then you never see it again. I highly, because that you saw the thing with the drones, right? So that's my justification for that. But like the German div seems cool. It's got the Eyehawks and stuff, and this seems cool. But I really kind of want to play that American div. So yeah, I'll do a sort of summary of all Nemesis. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And I hope you have a lovely day.